Bigfoot, Sasquatch, the elusive giant of North America. Welcome, dear listeners, to the first chapter of our series, Legendary Monsters from Folklore. Tonight, we venture into the dense forests of North America, where ancient legends speak of a colossal creature lurking in the shadows. This is the story of Bigfoot, also known as Sasquatch, a being that has haunted the imagination of indigenous peoples, explorers, and modern adventurers alike. So find a quiet spot, let your mind wander, and join me as we delve into a mystery that has left footprints in history, but no clear path to the truth. The origins in native lore. Our tale begins long before European settlers arrived on North American shores in the rich oral traditions of indigenous peoples. For centuries, tribes like the Salish, from whom the name Sasquatch derives, meaning wild man or hairy giant, have told stories of enormous, hairy beings that roam the wilderness. These creatures were often depicted as guardians of the forest, sometimes benevolent, sometimes fearsome, but always elusive. The Saits Isles people of British Columbia describe Sasquatch as a spiritual being, a protector of nature who punishes those who harm the land. In Native American folklore, Bigfoot is not a monster, but a bridge between the human and spirit worlds, a reminder to respect the natural order. Cave paintings and totem poles from various tribes depict tall, hairy figures, suggesting a deep cultural significance. But were these stories based on real encounters or metaphorical tales to teach moral lessons? The mystery deepens with similar legends across continents, from the Yeti in the Himalayas to the Yowie in Australia, hinting at a universal archetype or perhaps an undiscovered species. As European explorers arrived in the 19th century, they heard these tales from native guides, but dismissed them as superstition. It wasn't until the California gold rush in the 1850s that reports from white settlers began to emerge. Miners spoke of mountain devils stealing tools and food, leaving massive footprints in the mud. One newspaper account from 1870 described a gorilla-type creature captured but escaping. These early sightings set the stage for the modern Bigfoot legend, but they also raised questions. If Bigfoot is real, why no concrete evidence? The Patterson-Gimlin film and modern sightings. The Bigfoot phenomenon exploded in the 20th century thanks to a grainy film that captured the world's imagination. On October 20th, 1967, Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin were riding horseback along Bluff Creek in Northern California when they spotted a large, hairy figure walking along the riverbank. Patterson grabbed his 16mm camera and filmed the creature as it strode away with a distinctive gait, turning to look back before disappearing into the woods. The 59-second footage, known as the Patterson-Gimlin film, shows a female Bigfoot nicknamed Patty with muscular build, fur-covered body, and swinging arms. The film divided opinions. Believers hailed it as proof, citing the creature's anatomy, broad shoulders, long arms, and flexible foot, not easily faked in 1967. Skeptics claimed hoax, suggesting a man in a suit. Costume expert Philip Morris said he supplied a gorilla suit to Patterson, modified for the film. But analyses by anthropologists like Grover Krantz argued the proportions and muscle movement were impossible for a costume. In 1998, a BBC team recreated the film but couldn't match the gait. Digital enhancements in 2013 showed muscle rippling under the fur, but debates rage. Is the film genuine or an elaborate hoax? If real, why no follow-up evidence? Sightings continue today. Thousands report encounters annually, from the Pacific Northwest to the Appalachians. In 2008, two Georgia men claimed to have a Bigfoot body, but it was a rubber suit. In 2014, a Washington hiker filmed a large figure, but it was debunked as a bear. These hoaxes damage credibility, but genuine reports from hunters, loggers, and scientists persist. In 1893, Theodore Roosevelt wrote of a Bowman creature killing a trapper, an early Bigfoot tale. Bigfoot's physical evidence includes footprints. The 1958 Bluff Creek cast by Jerry Crew coined Bigfoot, showing 16-inch prints with dermal ridges, skin patterns not easily faked, but many are hoaxes, like the 2008 Bigfoot body stunt. Hair samples analyzed show unknown primate DNA, but contamination is possible. Vocalizations recorded in the 1970s, like the Sierra Sounds, feature howls and speech-like grunts, analyzed as non-human but not conclusive. These clues keep the mystery alive, a puzzle with pieces scattered across the wilderness. Theories and scientific scrutiny. Theories about Bigfoot abound. Cryptozoologists believe it's a relict hominid, perhaps Gigantopithecus, a giant ape from Asia that migrated via Bering Land Bridge. Its bipedal walk and intelligence fit. Skeptics argue misidentification. Bears standing upright mimic Bigfoot, especially in low light. Black bears in North America match the size and fur. Psychological factors play a role. Pareidolia makes us see patterns in random stimuli, like faces in clouds or Bigfoot in bushes. Hoaxes, from fake footprints to costumed pranksters, muddy the waters. The 2008 Georgia Bigfoot hoax with a frozen suit fooled media briefly. Scientific expeditions continue. In 2013, the Bigfoot Genome Project claimed DNA from hair samples showed a hybrid human, but it was debunked as contaminated. The 2019 eDNA study in the Pacific Northwest found no unknown primate DNA. Cultural significance is profound. Bigfoot is a symbol of the wild unknown, a reminder that unexplored frontiers remain. Native American tribes view Sasquatch as a spiritual being, protector of the forest, not to be hunted. The mystery of Bigfoot invites reflection on exploration's limits and belief's power. It challenges us to question what we see and to wonder if something ancient still walks among us. The enigma of Bigfoot endures, a story that reminds us that some legends are born from the shadows of the forest, waiting for those brave enough to seek them. Loch Ness Monster, Nessie, the legendary beast of the Scottish Highlands. In the misty depths of a Scottish loch, where the water is as dark as the secrets it holds, a creature is said to lurk, its long neck breaking the surface like a periscope from another world. This is Loch Ness, home to Nessie, the Loch Ness Monster, a beast that has haunted the imagination of locals and visitors for centuries. From ancient Pictish carvings to modern sonar scans, Nessie's legend has endured, blending folklore, science, and speculation into one of the world's most famous mysteries. But what is Nessie? A surviving plesiosaur from the age of dinosaurs, a giant eel, or simply a trick of the light? And why, after countless searches, does the monster continue to elude capture? Let us delve deeper into the enigma of Nessie, a tale that has inspired wonder, fear, and endless debate. Ancient legends and early sightings. The story of Nessie begins not in the 20th century, but in the mists of ancient Scotland. The first written account dates back to 565 AD in the biography of Saint Columba by Adamnan. According to the text, Columba encountered a water beast in the river Ness while traveling to convert the Picts. The monster attacked a swimmer, but Columba made the sign of the cross and commanded it to retreat, saving the man. This early tale portrays Nessie as a dangerous creature, subdued by faith, setting the tone for centuries of folklore. The Picts, who inhabited Scotland before the Scots, left carvings on stones depicting a strange aquatic beast with a long neck and flippers, known as the Pictish beast. These images, dating from the 6th to 9th centuries, are strikingly similar to modern descriptions of Nessie. Were the Picts depicting a real animal they encountered, or a mythical symbol? The mystery deepens with local legends of kelpies, or water horses that lure humans to their doom in Scottish lochs. Nessie may be a manifestation of these shape-shifting spirits, a warning to respect the water's dangers. For centuries, sightings were sporadic, whispered among Highland clans. In 1520, a chronicle mentioned a terrible beast in Loch Ness that terrorized boats. In 1871, a local newspaper reported a huge fish or creature churning the water. But it was the 20th century that transformed Nessie from local lore to global legend. In 1933, a new road along the loch's shore opened the area to tourists, and sightings surged. That year, George Spicer and his wife reported seeing a prehistoric animal crossing the road, its long neck undulating like a snail. The Inverness Courier dubbed it the Loch Ness Monster, and Nessie was born. But what sparked this sudden interest? Was it the road providing better access, or something stirring in the loch's depths? The mystery of Nessie's origins invites us to ponder whether this creature is a survivor from a bygone era or a figment of collective imagination. The famous photograph and the hunt begins. The Loch Ness Monster's fame exploded in 1934 with the publication of the surgeon's photograph in the Daily Mail. Taken by Colonel Robert Wilson, a London gynecologist, the black and white image showed a long neck and small head emerging from the water, resembling a plesiosaur. Wilson claimed he snapped it while birdwatching, but refused credit, hence the name. The photo captivated the world, drawing scientists, journalists, and tourists to the loch. But in 1994, the photo was revealed as a hoax. Christian Sperling confessed on his deathbed that he, his stepfather, Marmaduke Wetherell, and Wilson created it using a toy submarine with a modeled serpent head. Wetherell, humiliated after a previous hoax footprint, sought revenge. The revelation deflated believers, but didn't end the mystery. Other sightings persisted. Searches began in earnest. In 1934, Sir Edward Mountain funded a 20-man watch, yielding 21 photos, but most were waves or birds. In the 1960s, the Loch Ness Phenomena Investigation Bureau used sonar and submarines, detecting large moving objects but no conclusive proof. In 1972, Dr. Robert Rhines' team captured underwater photos showing a flipper-like appendage, analyzed as belonging to a 20-foot creature. But later reviews suggested it was enhanced imaging artifacts. In 1987, Operation Deep Scan used 24 boats with sonar, detecting 3 large targets, but follow-up found nothing. Recent efforts use technology. In 2019, a DNA survey of the loch found high-yield DNA, suggesting giant eels as an explanation. But a 2023 drone sighting of a large shape reignited debate. Is Nessie a plesiosaur survivor, a giant eel, or misidentified logs and waves? The loch's depth, over 750 feet, and peat-stained water hide much, keeping the mystery alive. Theories and explanations. Theories about Nessie abound. The most popular is that it's a plesiosaur, a long-necked reptile from the Mesozoic era, surviving in the loch since the Ice Age. The loch's connection to the sea via the River Ness could allow migration, and its depth provides hiding space. But biologists argue plesiosaurs were air breathers, needing to surface often, and the loch's food supply couldn't support a breeding population. Skeptics favor misidentification. Boat wakes, floating logs, or swimming deer create monster shapes. Otters in a line mimic a humped back. Seismic activity causes waves resembling a creature. The surgeon's photograph hoax damaged credibility, but genuine sightings persist, from sonar blips to eyewitness accounts. Supernatural theories suggest Nessie is a water spirit or dinosaur ghost. Some link it to ley lines, energy paths amplifying phenomena. UFO enthusiasts claim it's an alien probe or interdimensional being. Scientific expeditions continue. In 2018, a New Zealand team sequenced DNA from water samples, finding no large animal DNA but high eel counts, proposing giant eels as the culprit. A 2019 boat tour sonar detected a 30-foot object, but it was likely a prop from a film. These findings keep the debate alive, a testament to the power of mystery. The cultural impact and enduring allure. Nessie's legend has become a cultural icon. The 1934 photo sparked tourism, turning Inverness into a hub for monster hunters. Museums like the Loch Ness Center exhibit models and artifacts. Films like The Loch Ness Horror, 1981, and Loch Ness, in 1996, romanticize the beast. Nessie even has an official fan club and appears on stamps and coins. But the legend has economic value. Tourism generates $41 million annually for the local economy. Searches boost science, advancing sonar and environmental monitoring. Nessie symbolizes the unknown, a reminder that wonders may still lurk in our world. As we reflect on this enigma, we are left with the thrill of the unsolved, a testament to the power of legend to endure. The Loch Ness Monster invites us to keep searching, to keep questioning, and to keep believing in the possibility of discovery. The mystery of Nessie endures, a story that challenges us to confront the unknown and to seek the light in the darkness of the deep. Chupacabra, the goat sucker of Latin America. Imagine a moonlit night in the rural hills of Puerto Rico, where the air is thick with the scent of tropical foliage and the distant calls of nocturnal creatures. Suddenly, a farmer awakens to the sound of panicked livestock, only to find his goats drained of blood, their bodies marked by strange puncture wounds. This is the chilling reality of the Chupacabra, the goat sucker, a legendary beast that has terrorized farms across Latin America since the 1990s. Described as a reptilian creature with spines along its back, red eyes, and a thirst for blood, the Chupacabra has become a modern myth, blending folklore, fear, and unexplained phenomena. But what is this elusive monster? Is it a new species, an escaped experiment, or something more sinister? And why do sightings continue to this day, leaving experts baffled and communities on edge? Let us journey into the shadows of the night to uncover a mystery that has sparked panic, investigations, and endless speculation. The first sightings and panic in Puerto Rico. The legend of the Chupacabra burst into public consciousness in 1995, but its roots may go deeper. The first reported incident occurred in March 1995 in the town of Orocovis, Puerto Rico, where 8 sheep were found dead, each with 3 puncture wounds in the chest and completely drained of blood. Farmers were baffled. There were no signs of struggle, no tracks, and no blood on the ground. Word spread quickly, and soon similar attacks were reported across the island. Goats, chickens, and even pets were found exsanguinated, their bodies left in a state that defied explanation. The creature was dubbed El Chupacabra by Puerto Rican comedian Silverio Perez, meaning goat sucker in Spanish, due to its apparent preference for livestock. Eyewitness descriptions varied, but common themes emerged: a reptilian skin, spines along the back, large red eyes, and a height of 3 to 4 feet. Some said it hopped like a kangaroo, others that it flew with leathery wings. The attacks escalated, with over 2,000 reported in Puerto Rico alone that year. Panic gripped the island, vigils were held, hunters patrolled the nights, and the media frenzy turned Chupacabra into a household name. But as the sightings spread to Mexico, the United States, and beyond, questions arose. What was this creature, and where did it come from? One of the most famous early sightings came from Madeline Tolentino in Canovanas, who described seeing a bipedal creature with alien-like features outside her window. Her account, complete with a detailed sketch, became the template for Chupacabra depictions. But was it real, or a product of mass hysteria fueled by media reports? The attacks coincided with the release of the film Species, featuring a similar creature, leading some to suggest Hollywood influence on the collective imagination, spread across the Americas. From Puerto Rico, reports of Chupacabra attacks spread like wildfire across Latin America and into the United States. In 1996, Mexico reported similar incidents, with livestock found drained of blood in Sinaloa and other states. By the early 2000s, sightings reached Chile, Argentina, and even Russia, but the core remained in the Americas. In Texas, creatures dubbed blue dogs were killed, their hairless bodies and strange features matching Chupacabra descriptions. But autopsies revealed they were coyotes with mange, a skin disease causing hair loss. These Chupacabra corpses have been a recurring theme. In 2007, a Puerto Rican farmer found a strange animal, but it was identified as a dog. In 2010, a Chupacabra in Kentucky was a raccoon with mange. These misidentifications suggest a pattern: unknown animal carcasses attributed to the legend. But some attacks defy explanation: animals drained of blood without spillage, organs removed through small incisions, no tracks or signs of predators. Veterinarians have puzzled over the precision, suggesting a human culprit or unknown disease. But in rural areas with limited resources, thorough investigations are rare. The Chupacabra's evolution is fascinating. Early descriptions were reptilian and alien-like, but later ones in the U.S. shifted to canine forms. This change may reflect cultural differences. Puerto Rican folklore has vampiric creatures, while American tales feature Bigfoot-like beasts. Or perhaps there are multiple Chupacabras, a catch-all for unexplained livestock deaths. Climate change and habitat loss drive predators closer to farms, but the blood-draining aspect remains unique. Is it a new species, mutated by pollution or experiments? Theories and explanations. The Chupacabra has spawned numerous theories, each more intriguing than the last. The scientific explanation points to known animals: coyotes, dogs, or foxes with mange attack livestock, their saliva containing anticoagulants that prevent clotting, leading to blood loss. But this doesn't explain the lack of mess or the precision of wounds. Necropsies often show no blood drainage, suggesting post-mortem scavenging. A popular theory is government experiments gone wrong. In Puerto Rico, near El Yunque Rainforest, site of U.S. military tests, some believe Chupacabra is an escaped lab animal perhaps a genetically modified predator. The U.S. has conducted experiments there, including Agent Orange tests. Sightings near military bases fuel this idea, but no evidence supports it, and the government denies involvement. The alien theory ties Chupacabra to UFOs. Early sightings coincided with UFO reports in Puerto Rico, leading to claims of extraterrestrial origins, perhaps an alien pet or probe, draining blood for study. Books like Chupacabras and Other Mysteries by Scott Corrales explore this, but it's speculative. Psychological explanations suggest mass hysteria. Media coverage amplifies isolated incidents, with people attributing normal predation to a monster. The name Chupacabra itself shaped perceptions, turning coyote attacks into mythical events. Cryptozoologists see it as an undiscovered species, perhaps a giant bat or relic dinosaur. But no physical evidence, bodies, DNA, exists. Trail cameras and traps have captured nothing unusual. These theories keep the mystery alive, a blend of science, folklore, and fear that continues to evolve. The cultural impact and ongoing hunt. The Chupacabra has become a cultural icon, starring in films like Chupacabra Terror, 2005, and TV shows like The X-Files. In Puerto Rico, it's a symbol of national identity, with festivals and merchandise. The legend has spread, adapting to local folklore. In Russia, it's a mutant from Chernobyl. In India, a demon dog. But the impact is real. Farmers suffer losses, blaming Chupacabra for predation, leading to vigilante hunts. In 2010, Nicaraguan villagers killed a coyote, claiming it was the beast. Conservationists worry it harms wildlife as people kill innocent animals. Searches continue. In 2018, a Texas rancher installed cameras after attacks, capturing a hairless canine, likely that a mangy coyote. In 2022, a Puerto Rican team used drones to survey farms, finding no unusual creatures. But reports persist, with a 2023 sighting in Bolivia of a Chupacabra killing sheep. The mystery of the Chupacabra invites us to confront the unknown, to question what lurks in the shadows, and to wonder if the monsters we fear are real or born from our own imaginations. The enigma of the Chupacabra endures, a story that reminds us that some legends are born from the darkness of the night, waiting for those brave enough to seek them out. Yeti, Abominable Snowman, the snow giant of the Himalayas. In the shadow of the world's highest peaks, where the air is thin and the wind howls like a mournful spirit, the legend of the Yeti has endured for centuries, a tale whispered around campfires by Sherpa guides and pondered by explorers who dare to tread the frozen paths. Known as the Abominable Snowman to Westerners, the Yeti is said to be a massive, hairy creature that roams the remote valleys and snow-covered slopes of the Himalayas. But is this beast a relic from a prehistoric age, a misunderstood animal, or something more otherworldly? What evidence supports its existence, and why has it eluded capture for so long? As we continue our exploration of legendary monsters from folklore, let us venture into the icy realm of the Yeti, a mystery that has captivated adventurers, scientists, and dreamers alike. Ancient legends and cultural significance. The Yeti's origins are rooted in the folklore of the Himalayan peoples, who have told stories of this creature for generations. In Tibetan, it is called Migoi, or Mirka, meaning wild man, while in Nepali it is Ban Manche, or forest man. These tales describe a large, ape-like being covered in reddish-brown hair, standing up to 10 feet tall, with immense strength and a reclusive nature. The Yeti is often portrayed as a guardian of the mountains, a spirit that punishes those who disrespect nature or venture too far into forbidden territories. For the Sherpa people who live in the shadow of Mount Everest, the Yeti is more than a monster. It is a symbol of the wild unknown, a reminder to tread carefully in the harsh environment. Lamas and monks speak of the Yeti as a spiritual entity, perhaps a manifestation of the gods or a protector of sacred sites. Ancient scrolls and monastery paintings depict the creature, showing it as both fearsome and majestic. But these legends are not mere fairy tales. They are based on reported sightings and encounters that date back hundreds of years. One of the earliest written accounts comes from the 1830s, when British resident B.H. Hodgson reported that his Nepali guides spotted a tall, bipedal creature covered in long, dark hair. Hodgson dismissed it as an orangutan, but the description matched local Yeti lore. In 1921, Lieutenant Colonel Charles Howard Berry led a British reconnaissance expedition to Mount Everest and found large footprints in the snow at 21,000 feet. His Sherpa guides immediately identified them as belonging to the Meto Kangmi, or man-bear snowman. When translated loosely as Abominable Snowman in a newspaper report, the name stuck, capturing the public's imagination. But these early reports were just the beginning. As Western explorers pushed deeper into the Himalayas, sightings increased, each one adding to the mystery. In 1925, Greek photographer N.A. Tombazi spotted a dark figure moving across a slope at 15,000 feet, leaving footprints that were similar in shape to those of a man, but only 1 to 7 inches long. Tombazi was convinced it was no ordinary animal. These accounts raise intriguing questions. If the Yeti is real, why has it remained hidden? And what does its existence say about the unexplored corners of our world? The Everest expeditions and footprint evidence. The Yeti's legend exploded in the 1950s with the conquest of Mount Everest. In 1951, British mountaineer Eric Shipton photographed a massive footprint on the Menlung Glacier at 18,000 feet. The print, 13 inches long and 8 inches wide, showed distinct toes and a shape unlike any known animal. Shipton's photo, published in newspapers worldwide, ignited global interest and coined the term Abominable Snowman in popular culture. Subsequent expeditions found more prints. In 1953, Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay reported seeing large footprints during their historic ascent of Everest. Hillary later dismissed them as animal tracks distorted by melting snow, but the image stuck. In 1954, a Daily Mail expedition led by Ralph Izard searched for the Yeti, finding hair samples and prints, but no creature. Analysis of the hair suggested it came from an unknown primate, but results were inconclusive. Footprint evidence remains the Yeti's strongest proof. Casts show dermal ridges, fingerprint-like patterns, not easily faked. In 1986, anthropologist Grover Krantz analyzed prints, concluding they were from a large hominid. But skeptics argue they're hoaxes or misidentified bear tracks. Himalayan bears leave prints that can resemble human feet when overlapped. Yeti scalp and hand relics in monasteries add intrigue. In 1959, an expedition examined a Yeti scalp at Pangboch Monastery, a conical fur cap said to be 300 years old. Tests showed it was from a Sero goat. A Yeti hand at the same monastery was a human hand with animal fur, smuggled out and tested in the 1960s. Results were inconclusive, but a 2011 DNA test on a finger showed human DNA. These relics are likely fakes or misidentified, but they fuel the legend. As we delve deeper, the Yeti's elusiveness raises questions. If real, why no body or conclusive DNA? Bigfoot researchers in America face similar issues, but the Himalayas' remoteness adds difficulty. Scientific searches and skepticism. Science has taken the Yeti seriously at times. In 1957, Texas oilman Tom Slick funded an expedition, finding prints and hair but no creature. In 1959, Slick's team smuggled a Yeti finger from Pangboche, tested in the U.S. with inconclusive results. In 1972, a U.S. Nepal expedition used camera traps but captured nothing. Modern efforts use technology. In 2013, Oxford geneticist Brian Sykes analyzed Yeti hair samples from the Himalayas, finding matches to ancient polar bear DNA, suggesting a hybrid bear. But this explains some sightings, not all. A 2017 study of 9 Yeti samples showed they were from bears or dogs. Skeptics argue Yeti sightings are misidentifications. Himalayan brown bears or langurs in snow look large from afar. Psychological factors like expectation bias play a role. People see what they want. Hoaxes, like fake footprints, have been exposed, but believers point to consistent descriptions across cultures and time. Sherpa guides, who know the wildlife, insist the Yeti is real. In 2019, an Indian Army team reported 32-inch footprints near Makalu Base Camp, reigniting debate. Drones and camera traps continue the search, but the Yeti remains elusive. The mystery of the Yeti invites us to consider the boundaries of science and the power of belief. It reminds us that the world still holds secrets, waiting for those brave enough to seek them. The enigma of the Yeti endures, a story that challenges us to confront the unknown and to seek the light in the darkness of the mountains. Kraken, the giant sea monster of Norse folklore. Imagine the vast, storm-tossed seas of the North Atlantic, where the waves crash like thunder and the wind howls like a beast from the deep. This is the domain of the Kraken, a legendary sea monster from Norse folklore, a colossal creature said to lurk in the ocean's abyss, rising to drag ships and sailors to their doom. Described as a gigantic octopus or squid with tentacles that could encircle a vessel and crush it like kindling, the Kraken has terrified seafarers for centuries. But what is the truth behind this monstrous legend? Is it a myth born from sailors' tales, a real creature exaggerated by fear, or something more mysterious lurking in the depths? And why do reports of similar beasts continue to surface in modern times? Let us sail into the heart of the storm to uncover a mystery that has haunted the seas for generations. Origins in Norse mythology. The Kraken's legend is rooted in the folklore of Scandinavia, where the sea was both a source of livelihood and a realm of peril. The word Kraken comes from the Norwegian krak, meaning an unhealthy animal or something twisted. Early accounts date back to the 12th century in the Norwegian saga Urvar Oder, which describes massive sea monsters off the coast of Norway. These beasts were said to be so large that sailors mistook them for islands, only to be pulled under when the creature submerged. In the 18th century, the legend was documented by Danish naturalist Erik Pontoppidan in his Natural History of Norway, 1755. Pontoppidan described the Kraken as a creature 1.5 miles wide, with arms that could ensnare the largest ships. He claimed it released ink-like clouds to disorient prey and created whirlpools when diving. Sailors told tales of the Kraken surfacing to feed, attracting fish with its excrement, only to devour them and any unfortunate vessels in a frenzy. These stories were not mere fancy. They were born from real encounters with the sea's unknowns. Norse sailors ventured far, from Greenland to Vinland, facing storms, icebergs, and unknown creatures. Giant squid, which can grow to 43 feet, may have inspired the legend, their tentacles washing ashore or entangled in fishing nets. In 1853, a giant squid beached in Denmark, examined by zoologist Japetus Steenstrup, linking myth to reality. But if the Kraken is just a squid, why the tales of island-sized beasts and ship-crushing arms? Could there be something larger lurking in the depths? Famous encounters and sailor tales. The Kraken's legend grew with seafaring tales. In 1734, Norwegian missionary Hans Egede described a most dreadful monster off Greenland, with a serpent-like body and arms that reached the masts. In 1801, French corvette Alecton encountered a giant squid, attempting to capture it but succeeding only in retrieving a tentacle. These encounters fueled the myth, with sailors swearing to have seen the Kraken wrap its arms around ships, pulling them under. Alfred Lord Tennyson's 1830 poem, The Kraken, immortalized it as a sleeping giant in the deep, awakening to roar at the end of the world. Jules Verne's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, 1870, featured a giant squid attacking the Nautilus, blending fact with fiction. These works popularized the Kraken, turning it from sailor superstition to global legend. But reports continue. In 2003, a colossal squid was caught off Antarctica, measuring 39 feet. In 2014, a video from the Gulf of Mexico showed a massive squid-like creature. Are these the Kraken's descendants, or something new? Cryptozoologists argue the Kraken is an undiscovered species, perhaps Architeuthis dux on steroids, growing to 100 feet in deep-sea gigantism. Deep-sea explorations have found giant squid-battling sperm whales, their scars matching legends' battles. But if real, why no complete specimens? The ocean's depths remain 95% unexplored, a vast unknown where monsters could hide. Skeptics say the Kraken is misidentification, floating seaweed, oarfish, or whale carcasses mistaken for tentacles. Whirlpools from currents or submarines explain ship sinkings. But these don't account for all tales. Viking sagas describe Kraken attacks with vivid detail, tentacles crushing holes, ink clouds blinding sailors. Were these exaggerated whale encounters, or something more? The Kraken in modern times. The Kraken legend has evolved, influencing culture and science. Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean portrayed it as a massive squid commanded by Davy Jones. Discovery Channel documentaries explored giant squid hunts, with 2006 footage of a live specimen off Japan showing tentacles over 20 feet long. Scientific interest has grown. In 2012, a giant squid was filmed in its habitat for the first time, revealing behaviors like ink expulsion and arm regeneration. These discoveries echo the legend, suggesting the Kraken was based on real creatures, exaggerated by fear. But mysteries remain. In 2019, a 23-foot giant squid washed ashore in South Africa, its body intact. Fishermen report tentacle marks on whales, suggesting epic battles below. Could larger specimens exist in the deep, where pressures allow gigantism? The Mariana Trench, over 36,000 feet deep, holds unknown species. Perhaps the Kraken lurks there, waiting to surface? UFO theorists link the Kraken to USOs, unidentified submerged objects, suggesting alien origins. But this strays into speculation. More plausibly, climate change may drive deep-sea creatures to the surface, leading to new sightings. The Kraken's mystery is a reminder that the ocean holds secrets we have yet to uncover. It invites us to wonder what lies beneath the waves and whether the legends of old hold kernels of truth. The enigma of the Kraken endures, a story that challenges us to confront the unknown and to seek the light in the darkness of the deep. Werewolf, the shape-shifting beast of European folklore. Imagine the full moon rising over a medieval European village, casting a silvery glow on cobblestone streets and thatched roofs. This is the world where the legend of the werewolf was born, a creature cursed to transform from man to beast, driven by bloodlust and the lunar cycle. The werewolf, or lycanthrope, has haunted the human imagination for centuries, blending fear, folklore, and the unknown. But what is the truth behind this shape-shifting monster? Is it a myth rooted in ancient superstitions, a medical condition misunderstood by primitive societies, or something more sinister lurking in the shadows of history? And why do tales of werewolves persist even in our modern scientific age? Let us journey back to a time of dark forests and darker fears to uncover an enigma that has terrified generations. Origins in ancient myths. The legend of the werewolf has deep roots in human history, stretching back to ancient civilizations where the boundary between man and animal was blurred by myth and magic. In Greek mythology, the story of King Lycaon of Arcadia is one of the earliest tales. Lycaon, a tyrannical ruler, tested Zeus by serving him the flesh of his own son. Enraged, Zeus transformed Lycaon into a wolf, condemning him to roam the wilderness, a punishment that gave rise to the term lycanthropy. This tale, recorded by Ovid in Metamorphoses, set the template for the werewolf as a cursed human, doomed to a bestial existence. Similar stories appear in Norse sagas, where berserkers, warriors who fought in a trance-like fury, were said to don wolfskins and channel the animal's strength. The saga of the Volsungs tells of Sigmund and Sinfjotli, father and son who wore enchanted wolf pelts, transforming into wolves for 9 days. These legends portray the werewolf not always as a monster, but sometimes as a figure of power or tragedy. In medieval Europe, the werewolf legend evolved, influenced by Christianity's view of shapeshifting as demonic. The Church associated it with witchcraft and heresy, leading to trials where accused werewolves were tortured and executed. In 16th century France, the werewolf of Bedburg, Peter Stump, confessed under torture to killing 16 people while transformed, claiming a magic belt granted him wolf form. He was executed brutally. His story a cautionary tale of the devil's influence. But these tales raise intriguing questions. Were they based on real events or mass hysteria? In regions like France and Germany, hundreds were tried as werewolves between the 15th and 18th centuries. Some historians suggest rabies outbreaks, causing aggression and hydrophobia, may have inspired the myth. Victims bit others, spreading the curse. Others point to ergotism, a poisoning from fungus on rye bread, causing hallucinations and convulsions that mimicked transformations. The werewolf's association with the full moon may stem from lunar cycles' influence on human behavior or lunacy. Ancient physicians like Galen linked moon phases to madness. But if rooted in disease, why the specific wolf form? Wolves were feared predators in Europe, symbols of the wild unknown. The myth may have served as a metaphor for the beast within, the struggle between civilization and primal instincts. Werewolf trials and historical cases. The werewolf legend reached fever pitch during the European witch hunts. In 1589, a German pamphlet described the trial of Peter Stump, who confessed to 16 murders, including his son, while in wolf form. Under torture, he said the devil gave him a belt that transformed him. He was broken on the wheel, beheaded and burned, his head displayed on a pole with a wolf figure. This case, sensationalized across Europe, fueled fear and more trials. In France, the 1598 case of the Werewolf of Chalons saw a tailor accused of luring children to his shop, killing them, and eating their flesh. He was burned alive, his crimes linked to lycanthropy. Between 1520 and 1630, over 30,000 werewolf cases were reported in France alone. But were these real transformations or scapegoating during times of famine and disease? Modern psychology offers explanations. Clinical lycanthropy is a rare delusion where people believe they transform into wolves. Documented cases show patients howling and biting during episodes, often linked to schizophrenia or bipolar disorder. Porphyria, a genetic disease causing photosensitivity and hair growth, may have contributed to the myth. Sufferers avoid sunlight and appear hairy. Rabies, with its aggression and frothing, mimics wolf behavior. But these don't explain all. In the 1764-1767, the beast of Gévaudan killed over 100 in France, described as a giant wolf. Hunters claimed to kill it, but attacks continued briefly. Was it a werewolf or a hybrid wolf dog? The case inspired the Brotherhood of the Wolf. These historical events keep the legend alive, a blend of fact and fear. The werewolf in literature and culture. The werewolf legend has evolved in popular culture, shifting from monster to tragic figure. In the 19th century, Gothic literature embraced it. Guy Endor's 1933 novel, The Werewolf of Paris, portrayed the werewolf as a victim of curse and society. Hollywood cemented the image in The Wolfman, 1941, with Lon Chaney Jr. as Larry Talbot cursed by a bite, transforming under the full moon. This film popularized silver bullets and wolfsbane as weaknesses. Modern media explores psychological aspects. In An American Werewolf in London, 1981, the protagonist grapples with his curse. Teen Wolf, 1985, and Twilight Saga add romance. But these adaptations raise questions. Why the full moon? Medieval tales didn't always link transformations to lunar cycles. That came later, perhaps from lunar madness beliefs. Werewolf lore varies by culture. In Africa, where hyenas transform to commit crimes. In South America, the lobisome is cursed by birth order. These global variations suggest a universal fear of the beast within, the loss of control to primal instincts. But is there truth to the legend? If not supernatural, perhaps hypertrichosis, werewolf syndrome, a genetic condition causing excessive hair growth. Historical cases like Petrus Gonzalez in the 16th century, exhibited as a wild man, may have inspired tales. Serial killers like Peter Stump, confessing to wolf-like murders, added to the myth. The mystery of the werewolf invites us to confront our fears, to question the boundary between man and monster, and to wonder if the beast lurks within us all. The enigma of the werewolf endures, a story that reminds us that some legends are born from the darkness of the soul, waiting for the full moon to reveal their truth. Vampire, the blood-sucking fiend of Eastern European folklore. Imagine the dark forests of Eastern Europe, where the wind howls through ancient trees and the moon casts an eerie glow on forgotten graves. This is the birthplace of the vampire legend, a creature of the night that has terrified and fascinated humanity for centuries. Rising from the grave to drain the life from the living, the vampire is a symbol of fear, desire, and the unknown. But what is the truth behind this bloodthirsty beast? Is it a product of superstition, a metaphor for disease, or something more sinister lurking in the shadows? And why does the legend continue to evolve, from ancient folktales to modern horror icons? Let us journey back to a time of plague and paranoia to uncover an enigma that has sunk its teeth into our collective imagination. Roots in Slavic superstition. The vampire legend has its origins in the folklore of Eastern Europe, particularly among the Slavic peoples of regions like Romania, Bulgaria, and Serbia. The word vampire itself comes from the Serbian vampir, first recorded in the 18th century, but the concept dates back much further. In these rural societies, where life was hard and death ever present, the dead were feared as much as the living. It was believed that certain individuals could return from the grave as undead beings, feeding on the blood of the living to sustain their unnatural existence. And these early vampires were not the elegant, seductive figures of modern fiction, but grotesque corpses bloated with blood, their skin ruddy, and their nails and hair continuing to grow. They were said to rise at night, visiting their former homes to torment family members or drain the life from livestock. The causes of vampirism varied. Premature death, improper burial, or a life of sin could curse one to return. Suicide victims, witches, and those bitten by vampires were particularly at risk. To prevent a corpse from rising, rituals were performed, staking through the heart, decapitation, or burning the body. One of the earliest documented cases comes from 1725 in Serbia, where a man named Peter Blagojevich was accused of vampirism after his death. Villagers reported him appearing at night, and when his grave was opened, his body was found undecomposed, with fresh blood on his lips. The villagers staked him, and the attacks ceased. Similar reports spread across Eastern Europe, leading to vampire epidemics in the 18th century, where graves were exhumed and bodies desecrated in mass hysteria. But what sparked these beliefs? Historians point to a lack of understanding about decomposition. In cold climates, bodies could remain preserved longer, appearing fresh when exhumed. Premature burial, where people in comas were mistaken for dead, could lead to risings if they awoke. Diseases like rabies, with symptoms of aggression and sensitivity to light, or porphyria, causing pale skin and aversion to sunlight, may have contributed to the myth. These rational explanations offer insight, but they don't fully account for the legend's enduring power. As the influence of Vlad the Impaler, no discussion of vampires is complete without mentioning Vlad III, Prince of Wallachia, known as Vlad the Impaler or Vlad Dracula. Born in 1431, Vlad ruled Wallachia in what is now Romania, a region plagued by Ottoman invasions. His father was a member of the Order of the Dragon, or Dracul, meaning dragon or devil, from which Vlad derived his nickname Dracula, son of the dragon. Vlad's reign was marked by brutality. To defend against the Ottomans, he impaled thousands of enemies on stakes, earning a reputation for sadism. Legends tell of him dining among forests of impaled bodies, or dipping bread in their blood. After his death in 1476, these tales spread, amplified by political enemies and early printing presses. In 1807, Irish author Bram Stoker drew on Vlad's legacy for his novel Dracula, blending it with Eastern European folklore. Stoker's vampire, Count Dracula, was an aristocratic undead who drank blood to sustain immortality, shapeshifting into bats or wolves. The novel popularized the vampire as a seductive predator, influencing countless books, films, and TV shows, from Nosferatu to Twilight. But Stoker's creation was fictional, rooted in real fears and superstitions. The connection to blood drinking may stem from historical practices or diseases. In some regions, exhumed bodies appeared bloated with blood due to decomposition gases, leading to beliefs they fed on the living. Tuberculosis victims coughed blood, their pale appearance resembling vampires. These elements wove into the legend, creating a monster that embodied fears of death, disease, and the unknown. Vampire hunts and historical panics. In the 18th century, vampire hysteria swept Eastern Europe, leading to vampire hunts, where graves were opened and bodies staked, decapitated, or burned. In 1725, the case of Peter Plagojewicz in Serbia saw villagers exhume his body after reports of attacks. It was undecomposed, with blood on the lips, confirming their fears. They staked it, and the attacks stopped. Similar cases in Arnhem Powell led to mass exhumations. These panics were fueled by disease outbreaks like plague, where victims were buried hastily, sometimes alive, leading to risings. Ignorance of decomposition, gases causing bodies to bloat and bleed, added to the terror. Authorities investigated, with Austrian officials documenting cases in the 1730s, concluding superstition. But the fear persisted, spreading to Western Europe. In New England in the 19th century, vampire panics occurred during tuberculosis outbreaks. Families exhumed relatives, burning hearts to stop the vampire from claiming more victims. The 1892 case of Mercy Brown in Rhode Island saw her heart burned after her family's deaths. These events show how folklore adapts to explain the inexplicable. But were there real vampires? Conditions like catalepsy, where people appear dead but revive, could explain risings. Premature burial was common before modern medicine, leading to tales of the undead. These rational explanations demystify the legend, but don't erase its cultural impact. The vampire in modern culture. The vampire legend has evolved from monstrous corpse to seductive immortal. Bram Stoker's Dracula, 1897, defined the modern vampire: aristocratic, hypnotic, vulnerable to stakes, garlic, and sunlight. Stoker's research drew from Eastern European folklore, including Romanian strigoi and Serbian vampire. The 20th century saw vampires in film, from Bela Lugosi's 1931 Dracula to Anne Rice's Interview with the Vampire, 1976, portraying them as tormented souls. Twilight, 2005, by Stephen E. Meyer, romanticized them further, making them sparkle in sunlight. These adaptations raise questions. Why the enduring appeal? Vampires embody eternal youth, power, and forbidden desire, reflecting societal fears of death and sexuality. But the legend's roots in folklore remind us of its darker origins, a fear of the undead rising to claim the living. In Romania, strigoi are still feared in rural areas, with rituals to prevent their return. The mystery of the vampire invites us to confront our fears, to question the boundary between life and death, and to wonder if the monsters of old still walk among us. The enigma of the vampire endures, a story that challenges us to seek the light in the darkness of the night. Jersey Devil, the winged terror of New Jersey. Imagine the dense pine barrens of New Jersey, where the trees twist like tormented souls and the wind carries whispers of an ancient curse. This is the domain of the Jersey Devil, a legendary creature said to haunt the wilderness with its bat-like wings, goat's head, and blood-curdling screams. Born from a mother's despair in 1735, the devil has terrorized the region for nearly 300 years, its sightings sparking panic, investigations, and endless speculation. But what is this demonic beast? A cursed child, a misidentified animal, or something more sinister lurking in the shadows? And why do reports of its appearances continue to this day, defying explanation? Let us journey back to a time of superstition and fear to uncover an enigma that has haunted America since its colonial days. The Curse of Mother Leeds. The legend of the Jersey Devil begins in the early 18th century in the small settlement of Leeds Point, New Jersey. According to folklore, a woman known as Mother Leeds lived in poverty with her husband and 12 children. When she discovered she was pregnant with her 13th child, she cursed the baby in frustration, declaring, "Let this one be a devil." On a stormy night in 1735, she gave birth. The child appeared normal at first, but then transformed, its body elongating, hooves sprouting, wings unfurling, and a forked tail whipping the air. With a piercing scream, it flew up the chimney and vanished into the night, doomed to roam the pine barrens forever. Mother Leeds was said to be Deborah Leeds, wife of Japhet Leeds, who indeed had 12 children. Historical records show the Leeds family lived in the area, and local gossip branded Deborah a witch due to her interest in astrology and herbalism. The Leeds Devil became a cautionary tale, warning against blasphemy and the dangers of the wilderness. But was the story based on a deformed birth, exaggerated by superstition, or entirely fabricated to explain strange occurrences in the barrens? The Pine Barrens, a vast wilderness of sandy soil and dense forests, was a place of isolation and hardship. Settlers faced harsh winters, poor farming, and wild animals. Strange noises, perhaps from bobcats or owls, could easily be attributed to a devil. The legend served as a moral lesson, deterring children from wandering and explaining misfortunes like lost livestock. But as the years passed, the devil's presence grew more tangible, with sightings reported across New Jersey. In 1840, a series of livestock killings were blamed on the devil, with farmers finding animals with torn throats and strange tracks. In 1909, the most famous wave of sightings occurred. Over a week in January, hundreds reported seeing a flying creature with hooves and wings. It attacked trolleys, left prints in snow, and terrified towns from Philadelphia to Trenton. Newspapers like the Philadelphia Record ran headlines like "The Jersey Devil on the Rampage," fueling mass hysteria. Police fired at shadows, schools closed, and factories to shut down. But no creature was captured, and the sightings abruptly stopped. Was it a hoax, mass delusion, or the devil itself? Eyewitness accounts and modern sightings. Sightings of the Jersey Devil have continued sporadically. In 1927, a taxi driver reported a winged creature attacking his car near Salem. In 1951, a group of boys in Gibbstown claimed to see it flying overhead. It screamed like a woman's cry. In 1960, a $10,000 reward was offered for its capture, leading to a surge in reports, but no proof. The devil's appearance is consistent: 3 to 7 feet tall, kangaroo-like body, horse or goat head, bat wings and horns, clawed hands, and hooved feet. It flies or hops, emitting a high-pitched scream. Tracks often show cloven hooves, but physical evidence is scarce. Hoof prints found in 1909 trailed for miles, even over fences, but were likely hoaxed with casts or animal paws. Cryptozoologists believe it's a surviving pterosaur or unknown species, hiding in the Barrens' 1.1 million acres. The area's acidic soil and cedar water create cedar bogs, ideal hiding spots. But biologists dismiss this. No food source could support a large predator without detection. Skeptics argue misidentification. Sandhill cranes with 6-foot wingspans match the description when seen at dusk. Their calls are shrill, and they stand tall. Hoaxes, like the 1909 wave possibly orchestrated by a publicist, explain many sightings. Norman Jeffries, a Philadelphia promoter, admitted faking prints with animal paws to boost his museum, but some encounters defy explanation. In 1966, a farmer near Mullica Hill shot at a winged creature attacking his dog. It fled, leaving scorched grass. In 2015, a driver photographed a goat-like figure with wings on a road, going viral but debunked as a drone or CGI. These reports keep the legend alive, a blend of folklore and fear that draws tourists to the Barrens. The devil's cultural impact. The Jersey Devil has become a cultural icon. It's the mascot of the New Jersey Devils hockey team, and festivals like the Devil Hunt celebrate it. Films like The Jersey Devil, 2005, and books explore the legend. It's a symbol of New Jersey's identity, representing the wild unknown in a developed state. But the legend's darker side reflects societal fears, birth defects, family curses, the supernatural punishing sin. Mother Leeds' story warns against despair and blasphemy. Scientific investigations have yielded little. Trail cameras and drones scan the Barrens, but capture only wildlife. A 2018 expedition found unusual tracks, but they were identified as deer. The lack of evidence suggests hoax or myth, but the consistency of descriptions across centuries raises questions. The mystery of the Jersey Devil invites us to confront the unknown, to question the boundary between reality and legend, and to wonder if something ancient still lurks in the wilderness. The enigma of the Jersey Devil endures, a story that reminds us that some legends are born from the darkness of the forest, waiting for those brave enough to seek them out. Mothman, the winged harbinger of doom from West Virginia. Imagine a dark night in November 1966, where two young couples are driving along a deserted road near Point Pleasant, West Virginia, when a large, winged creature with glowing red eyes rises from the shadows and gives chase. This is the beginning of the Mothman legend, a creature that would terrorize the small town for over a year, its appearances coinciding with strange lights in the sky and a sense of impending doom. Described as a man-sized being with bat-like wings and eyes that pierce the soul, Mothman has become one of America's most famous cryptids, a symbol of mystery and misfortune. But what is this winged enigma? A harbinger of disaster, an extraterrestrial visitor, or something born from the collective fears of a community? And why did its sightings culminate in one of the worst tragedies in West Virginia history? Let us journey back to a time of UFOs and urban legends, to uncover a mystery that has left an indelible mark on folklore. The first sightings and rising panic. The Mothman legend burst into public consciousness on November 15, 1966, when Roger and Linda Scarberry, along with Steve and Mary Mallet, were driving near the old munitions plant known as the TNT area outside Point Pleasant. As they passed an abandoned building, A large figure shuffled from the shadows. It was over 6 feet tall, with gray skin, folded wings, and eyes that glowed red like bicycle reflectors. The creature unfolded its wings and took off, chasing their car at speeds over 100 mph, its screeches piercing the night. The terrified group reported it to Deputy Millard Halstead, who investigated but found nothing. Word spread quickly, and more sightings followed. 2 days later, on November 17th, 2 firemen spotted it near the TNT area. On November 25th, Thomas Urey was chased by a gray, man-sized creature while driving. By December, dozens reported seeing Mothman perched on trees, flying over cars, or lurking near the Ohio River. The creature was nicknamed Mothman by a local newspaper, drawing from the Batman TV series villain Killer Moth. Point Pleasant, a small town of 6,000, was gripped by fear. Residents armed themselves, patrolling the TNT area, a World War II munitions site riddled with igloos and tunnels, now overgrown and eerie. UFO sightings accompanied Mothman's strange lights hovering over the river, perhaps connected to the creature. Journalist John Keel arrived to investigate. His book, The Mothman Prophecies, 1975, immortalizing the events, later adapted into a 2002 film starring Richard Gere. But the sightings weren't isolated. In 1967, over 100 reports came in, including one where Mothman entered a home, terrorizing occupants. Pregnant women feared birth defects, and pets went missing. The panic peaked with the Silver Bridge collapse on December 15th, 1967, a tragedy that killed 46 people when the bridge over the Ohio River failed during rush hour. Many linked it to Mothman, seen perched on the bridge days before. Keel suggested Mothman was a harbinger, warning of disaster. After the collapse, sightings ceased abruptly. Was Mothman an omen or coincidence? The bridge's failure was later attributed to a structural flaw, but the timing fuels speculation, theories, and explanations. The Mothman mystery has spawned numerous theories. Cryptozoologists believe it's an undiscovered species, perhaps a giant owl or mutated bird, its red eyes reflective retinas. The TNT area's chemical pollution from WW could have caused mutations, explaining the creature's appearance. Owl species like the barn owl have large wingspans and red reflecting eyes, matching descriptions when seen at night. UFO theorists link Mothman to extraterrestrials. Keel suggested it was a ultra-terrestrial, a being from another dimension, with UFOs as manifestations. The men in black, strange men in suits who warned witnesses to silence, add to the alien conspiracy. Linda Scarberry reported MIB visits, threatening her family. Keel himself received odd calls. Were they government agents or part of the phenomenon? Psychological explanations suggest mass hysteria. The TNT area's abandoned state and economic decline in Point Pleasant created anxiety, amplified by media. Pareidolia turned owls or cranes into monsters. The bridge collapse, a real tragedy, retroactively linked to the sightings, creating a narrative of foreboding. Supernatural theories portray Mothman as a curse or demon. Native American legends of the curse of Chief Cornstalk, who was murdered near Point Pleasant in 1777 and cursed the land, tie into this. Cornstalk's curse allegedly caused disasters, including the bridge collapse. Some see Mothman as a modern Thunderbird, a harbinger from indigenous folklore. These theories keep the mystery alive, a blend of science, folklore, and fear that draws visitors to Point Pleasant annually for the Mothman Festival. The legacy and ongoing intrigue. Mothman's impact on Point Pleasant is profound. The town embraces the legend with a Mothman museum, statue, and festival featuring speakers, vendors, and tours of the TNT area. It has become a tourist draw, boosting the economy. Books like Keel's and films like The Mothman Prophecies have globalized the story, inspiring music, art, and TV shows. But the legacy is bittersweet. The bridge collapse's real victims are remembered at the Silver Memorial Bridge. For survivors like Mary Heyer, a journalist who reported sightings and died suddenly in 1970, the events were traumatic. The investigations continue. Paranormal teams visit the TNT area, recording EVPs with voices saying, "Beware" or "Bridge." In 2016, a sighting near Chicago of a winged humanoid revived interest, dubbed the Chicago Mothman. Over 55 reports since 2011 describe a similar creature, perhaps a modern manifestation. Scientific explanations include the sandhill crane, a large bird with red eyes that migrates through the area. Misidentification in low light could explain sightings. The lights may have been meteors or planes, but these don't account for all accounts, like physical chases or property damage. The mystery of Mothman is a reminder that some phenomena defy explanation, born from the collective unconscious or the unknown. It invites us to confront fear and to wonder if harbingers walk among us. The enigma of Mothman endures, a story that challenges us to seek the light in the darkness of the night. Thunderbird, the thunderous giant of Native American folklore. In the vast skies over the North American plains, where storms brew like ancient battles and lightning cracks like the whip of a god, the legend of the Thunderbird has soared for generations. This colossal bird, revered by many Native American tribes, is said to create thunder with the flap of its enormous wings and hurl lightning from its blazing eyes. A symbol of power, protection, and the forces of nature, the Thunderbird appears in the myths of peoples from the Pacific Northwest to the Great Lakes, a creature that commands respect and fear in equal measure. But what is the truth behind this sky-dwelling giant? Is it a mythical spirit, a memory of prehistoric birds, or something that still takes flight in the modern world? And why do stories of its appearances continue to echo through time, leaving us to wonder if the thunder we hear is just a storm or the beat of its wings? Let us soar into the heart of Native American lore to uncover an enigma that has thundered through the ages. The Thunderbird in tribal myths. The Thunderbird's legend is woven into the fabric of Native American cultures, where it often represents the power of the upper world, contrasting with serpents or underwater panthers of the lower realms. Among the Ojibwe and other Algonquian tribes, the Thunderbird is a divine messenger, battling underwater spirits to maintain balance. Its wings create thunder, its eyes flash lightning, and its claws carry rain. These battles ensure the cycle of seasons and the renewal of life. In Pacific Northwest, tribes like the Kwakwaka'wakw and Nucha-Nulth, the Thunderbird is a supernatural being that lives atop mountains, feeding on whales it snatches from the sea. Totem poles and masks depict it with outstretched wings and curved beak, symbols of strength used in ceremonies. The Haida tell of the Thunderbird creating Haida Gwa'is by dropping a whale from the sky. These stories portray the Thunderbird not as a monster, but a protector, punishing evil and aiding the worthy. But the Thunderbird's wrath is fearsome. In Sioux legends, it punishes those who harm nature, striking with lightning. Apache tales describe it carrying off people or livestock. This duality, benevolent yet terrifying, raises questions. Is the Thunderbird a spirit guide or a harbinger of doom? And do these myths stem from real encounters with massive birds like the extinct Teratorn, which had 20-foot wingspans? Archaeological evidence adds intrigues. Petroglyphs in the American Southwest show large bird figures with lightning bolts dating back thousands of years. In Illinois, the Piazza bird painting on bluffs depicts a similar creature said to have been slain by a chief. These images suggest the legend predates European contact, rooted in observations of nature, thunderstorms personified as a great bird. As European settlers arrived, they heard these tales from native guides, but dismissed them as superstition. Yet some reported seeing enormous birds, like a 1882 account in Arizona of a Thunderbird with a 160-foot wingspan. These sightings blend myth with possible reality, perhaps memories of Ice Age megafauna. Famous encounters and modern sightings. The Thunderbird's legend gained notoriety in the 19th century. In 1890, two Arizona cowboys claimed to shoot a huge bird with a 36-foot wingspan and leathery wings, dragging it to town. The Tombstone Epitaph reported it, but no evidence remains, likely a hoax, but it fueled imagination. In 1970, Lawndale, Illinois, a 10-year-old boy was lifted by a large bird, but dropped after his mother's screams. Witnesses described two birds with 10-foot wingspans, resembling condors but larger. Ornithologists dismissed it, suggesting a turkey vulture, but the size doesn't match. Sightings continue. In 2002, Alaskan pilots reported a bird with a 14-foot wingspan near Manicotech. In 2018, a Pennsylvania woman photographed a massive bird, sparking debate. These accounts suggest a living creature, perhaps a surviving Thunderbird species, like the prehistoric Argentavis, with 23-foot wingspans. Cryptozoologists argue the Thunderbird is a relic terror bird or giant eagle. Fossils of Haast's eagle in New Zealand show 10-foot wingspans, capable of hunting humans. In North America, Teratorn fossils indicate similar sizes. Climate change may have driven them to remote areas, explaining rarity. Skeptics favor misidentification. Turkey vultures or golden eagles with 7 to 8-foot wingspans appear larger in flight. Perspective tricks and exaggeration turn birds into monsters. Weather balloons or drones explain some modern sightings. UFO theorists link the Thunderbird to extraterrestrials, suggesting it's an alien probe or hybrid creature. Native legends of Thunderbirds battling serpents parallel ancient astronaut theories, but lack evidence. These theories keep the mystery alive, a blend of science, folklore, and wonder that draws birdwatchers and cryptid hunters to the skies. Scientific searches and evidence. Science has investigated the Thunderbird. In 2002, a National Geographic expedition to Alaska searched for giant birds, but found only eagles. In 2013, a DNA study of alleged Thunderbird feathers showed they were from turkeys, but footprints and nests remain unverified. Paleoornithology offers clues. Fossils of giant birds like Pelagornis sandersi, with 24-foot wingspans from 25 million years ago, show such creatures existed. In North America, 10,000-year-old fossils of teratorns suggest survival into the Holocene. Climate shifts may have pushed them to extinction, but isolated populations could persist in remote areas. Cultural significance is profound. The Thunderbird is sacred in native traditions, a totem of power in dances and ceremonies. The Lakota see it as Wakanyan, controller of weather. These stories preserve ecological knowledge, warning of nature's fury. The mystery of the Thunderbird invites reflection on the boundaries of myth and reality. It challenges us to question what we know and to wonder if the thunder we hear is just a storm or the beat of ancient wings. The enigma of the Thunderbird endures, a story that reminds us that some legends are born from the skies, waiting for those brave enough to look up. As we conclude our series on legendary monsters from folklore, I want to thank you, dear listeners, for joining me on this journey through the shadows of myth and mystery. From the depths of the ocean to the heights of the mountains, we have explored the creatures that continue to captivate our imaginations. May these stories linger in your thoughts as you drift into sleep, and may your dreams be filled with the thrill of the unknown. Good night and sweet dreams.